Hello, everybody. This is Carl Quinton. I'm your host again here today for Meet the Devs, episode 10. Today we have Nick Thomas, who is the Vice President of Content Publishing North America for Hatch. And we'll bring him on in just a second. There's a couple things that I wanted to tell you about today. You know, it's been a few days since our last episode, and I hope all my American friends had a wonderful holiday, and it's great to be back today. We also have some exciting content coming up in the next 2 weeks. We have Mike Arkin and Jay Powell and a few other industry experts that are going to be joining us. And starting next week, we will have Tech Tuesdays, and each week we will be bringing technical information relevant to the video game professionals. And if you have any requests for possible things you want to hear from, you know, Intel, NVIDIA, Unreal, Unity, any of those guys, please email us at meetthedevs@gmail.com. Finally, if you're interested in coming to Casual Connect at the Disneyland Hotel in January, I'm considering raffling off some hotel room upgrades or maybe some free tickets to the show or something like that. If those are interesting to you guys, you know, let me know in the comments or email me again. But, you know, without further ado, let's bring Nick to the show. Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Hey, doing good, Carl.
Excellent. So, Nick, you've been around in the industry for a long time. I think your LinkedIn page says you have 13 years of executive experience in the video games industry. And, you know, you're kind of one of my favorite guys to talk to at events and other places that I see, always kind of this positive energy. But why don't you tell us, you know, where you kind of got started in the industry and that stuff?
Sure, yeah. So we started back in probably 2003, maybe 2005, really kind of the beginning of the casual game movement. I entered into gaming through audio. So most people still probably know me as one of the founders of Somatone. Mm-hmm. Somatone is a game audio production studio. I actually still own the company, but I don't do a lot of audio-related stuff anymore. But I started that company in 2003 with Kane Minkus, who's an old friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And we did a little bit of commercial production. We worked on some films. We kind of tried a bunch of different stuff and ended up having a lot of success in gaming, and got started with the early innovators and pioneers of the casual game movement, primarily Big Fish with the Hidden Expedition and Mystery Case Files series, and then with Play First with Diner Dash and all the Play First games, and Oberon and Sandlot and PopCap.
All those guys,
kind of all the guys, like the Seattle kind of casual era was really where we got our foothold in the industry and worked on hundreds of games in that space. And then that all moved into Facebook, kind of social gaming, and that led to Zynga and a bunch of other clients who also worked with Somatone, and then all of that rolled into mobile. And so it's been really a sort of a windy path, but all primarily in the casual space.
Before we get on to past Somatone and stuff, because I'm sure you're going there next, but what is Somatone doing now, since you're still, owner, but not doing too much there? Is there any significant stuff that you wanted to say about, what Somatone's doing now?
Yeah, Somatone, so we're still very busy in the gaming space. We have a lot of big clients like Niantic and Jam City and WB. Mm-hmm. So we work on a lot of big games. Our focus is really more technical. We're still obviously a creative studio. Yeah. But I think where we're uniquely interesting is that we have these first-party technical relationships with some of the big tech players for middleware. So Fmod is a good example where we have a direct relationship with Fmod. So we can bring best of class middleware to these mobile kind of casual experiences, and then wire the tech in, but also add the creative assets on top, which creates a much more interesting experience.
Yeah, I think on your Somatone website, I was seeing some stuff about like some VR tutorials and some things about using Fmod and stuff, and getting into the code of how to like implement those types of things and implement the sounds into your actual Unity code. So that's kind of where I saw that technical side kind of coming out.
Right. Yeah, and that's actually credited to Dale Crowley, who's our creative director here, or there, or whatever, at Somatone. And Dale has a really deep technical background. He's just a brilliant guy, super creative, but he brings these sort of technical expertise into the creative process. And so through Dale, we've kind of forged these really interesting, partnerships with these, technical providers and platforms. And that's really interesting for our clients, because we can really be a turnkey provider, across creative into the technical, and kind of bridge all those gaps.
Nice. So after Somatone, you did some haptic stuff for a little bit, and then on to Hatch?
Yeah, so about 10 years into running Somatone, I just started to get a little, kind of antsy. As a bit of an entrepreneur, I wanted to try some new stuff. So I started working with Immersion. Immersion is the leading torchbearers of haptic technology. So they created force feedback steering wheels and DualShock controllers for PlayStation, and trigger technology for Microsoft, and they were bringing that tech into the mobile space, where you could actually add, these interesting haptic effects to your mobile games. And in some ways, it's very similar to sound design, where you can actually contour and shape haptic feedback like you do a sound wave. And if you have an explosion or a click or a jackpot or whatever, you can create physical feedback that mirrors the audio feedback and mirrors the visual events. So the games literally come alive in your hands, which is a really interesting.
I remember you showing that to me. I think it was like 2014, and one of the things I remembered is it seems like it's something that's often overlooked, like audio as well. And there was some really cool things about like being able to feel a ball bouncing in the corner of the screen instead of just having a general vibration. It was something that could be more specific and more intuitive, and I thought that was a pretty cool little thing. But yeah, that's cool tech there.
Yeah, I liked it because so when you're in mobile and you're in audio, it's a little bit of a tough duality, because so many mobile experiences are played with the sound off or the sound, down, or even if it's on, it's a pretty compromised, like audio experience, because these tiny speakers. Whereas haptics, in some ways, it's the same creative enjoyment, but you don't, it's silent, and so you can give people that same kind of immersion and the same feedback to what's happening in the game in a creative way, but without using sound. And I really liked how those two things overlapped. So that was a lot of fun, actually, to be a part of that that process.
So before we get into Hatch, I was thinking maybe we could start off by playing this Hatch the Game Changer video. Does that work for you, or do you want to give any intro to it first?
No, let's go ahead and start there.
All right, so this just takes me a quick second to switch over to everything all at once. So, sorry for the delay, guys, but here we go.
This is for you, the pioneers, the rookies and the pros, the influencers, the late-nighters, and the early risers. This is for you, the entertainers, the creative and the curious, and the arcade lovers. This is for you, who want something different, something you haven't seen before, a place to share new experiences, where you can enjoy every game together, where friends meet for a good time at any time, changing the way you play and changing the game forever. This is for you. Hatch, the Game Changer.
All right, so that's pretty cool. It's a great promo video. I just kind of enjoyed it. The music's good, great video and stuff. So why don't you tell us about Hatch?
So Hatch Hatch is awesome. Hatch is really exciting. We've been a little under the radar as we're getting everything put together in the background, but we're just now moving this product into the commercial launch, so it's a great time to talk about it. Hatch in a nutshell is a kind of Netflix or Spotify style model, but for mobile games. So it's a game streaming service. All the games live on the cloud. The users download Hatch as an application, and like Netflix, all the content is hosted within Hatch. And as you want to experience, various games, you just hit play on the game within Hatch, and then the game streams. So you don't have to download anything apart from the app. You don't have to install anything. You don't have to update anything. It's all managed on the cloud, and we create this beautiful interface for people to, try and enjoy and share and invite their friends to be a part of their game experiences. So in some ways, it's not a revolutionary concept in that game streaming has certainly been thought of before, and it's been tried before. It's never really worked, and it's never worked for a few reasons. One reason is that the technology has really never been there. What we're doing at Hatch is as innovative and genius of a technical platform as I've ever seen. The guys creating this are absolute wizards. This was all born out of Rovio. So Hatch, for those of you who haven't followed the press, Hatch is a Rovio subsidiary. So we spun out at the end of last year. We're majority owned by Rovio, and they are backing the whole project. Our CEO came from Rovio. He was the senior vice president at Rovio and built out all their kind of tech, all their back-end ad technology. And we have this amazing world-class team of engineers who have built this streaming tech, which allows us to stream full resolution, 60 frame per second video. It's actually not video, but that's kind of a separate conversation. But we can stream full resolution, 60 frames a second, over a standard cellular LTE connection with like virtually no latency. So the games feel like a native experience, even though they're streaming into the device. And
so does this kind of jump some of the hurdles of people having slower devices versus, bleeding edge phones and stuff? Everybody kind of gets the same experience as long as they've pretty much got a decent network connectivity to the internet.
That's right. And because the games live on the cloud and they're served by the CPUs that are on the cloud, there's really no CPU limitations to what we can do. There's also no size limitations. So we've got games that are, be 4 gigs to download as a native file on your device. They just stream in. So you don't have to manage all of those games.
Right.
We have, at this stage, 250 games signed up across 100 different studios. And all of those games are available to you, just like Netflix provides all of the movie content. All of these games are available to the user on Hatch. And so imagine trying to manage 250 games that you've downloaded on your device. Like, you don't have room. It's a total pain.
Right.
Trying to manage all of that on your phone is a nightmare, let alone having the storage and then having to update them all the time. It just, we think that gaming is going to move the same direction as video, the same direction as music. Like, the notion today that you would download all of your music onto your device feels so antiquated. Right. Even though it's really only been a few years that we've gotten used to Spotify and Beats and all these other streaming services. The same is true with video. Like, when was the last time you downloaded a video to your phone?
Years.
Or to your computer?
Or even like rented a DVD and stuck it in a device. Either has been years.
This is exactly where gaming is moving, and and then through the subscription economy, which is part of how we monetize the service. That's also following the growth of all these other subscription services where you just pay a flat fee, you get all you can eat unlimited access to all this great content that we source for you and, present in a really compelling manner.
So I was going to ask, following the Netflix analogy, do you guys follow some of the other things? Like, is content going to be served up in a kind of data-driven way where you kind of see what people like to play and help them find things that they would like and kind of get past some of the discoverability issues that some of the developers and consumers are complaining about? Is that part of it as well, or?
Yeah, discoverability is a big problem. It's one of the core issues we're looking to solve for the users. So our max catalog will never be that big. We'll have maybe 300-400 games, and then maybe an archive of stuff that's kind of percolated out of the platform. But even at its maximum capacity, it will be manageable to find. But yes, to answer your question, we're very data driven. We're going to have a very personalized experience for all our users. So based on what you like to play, that helps us recommend what we think you would like to also check out. Now, what's actually even more interesting than that are the social features in Hatch. And so Hatch isn't just game streaming. There's a big social component where we've taken some of the kind of best features of Instagram and some of the best features of Twitch, and married those together, where we've created this social environment where I can invite my friends actually into Hatch. I can invite you, Carl, into my actual game session. So if I'm playing Monument Valley as an example, and I'm stuck on a level, or I'm stuck trying to beat a boss, or I just want to show you something really cool, or show you a new game that I think you would like, I can actually, through Hatch, invite you via an SMS text message, and if you accept that message, you are brought into Hatch and actually into my game, and I can pass you the controls of the game that I'm playing, and you can play my game in 100% synchronous real time because this is coming from the cloud.
Right.
And not only that, but we have VoIP technology, so we can talk to each other while we're playing this multiplayer experience.
So no need for a social Discord or any
way to enjoy.
Right.
And that's just with a single player game. Then you think about multiplayer and creating a whole new genre of true 100% synchronous multiplayer mobile games, just like sitting on a couch playing PlayStation with your buddy. It really has that potential. And so it's based on what... Yeah.
I was going to say it's a way that game designers might actually modify their game specifically for this in order to take advantage of some of that stuff, and that could be interesting to see a Hatch-specific game made for that type of interplay.
Right. So we're doing that. I mean, Hatch Originals, Hatch, we're creating our own games. We're porting games that are, could and should have been multiplayer experiences, but the tech was never really there to facilitate it. We're converting projects like that into multiplayer experiences. This is just the beginning. This is, if you think of Netflix again and you rewind the clock, Netflix started out by aggregating content, by bringing movies and shows that had already been made. That was kind of phase one of the Netflix experience. Then they started creating original content and adaptations and documentaries that were for Netflix. And maybe they were still third-party products, but they were licensed in as Netflix kind of exclusives in terms of how you would find them. And now they're into phase three, where they're actually directly creating. In fact, I think $8 billion has been allocated to original programming, and something like 50% of what Netflix will create in 2018 will be Netflix original content.
Wow.
And that's a similar strategic plan for what we want to do when it comes to content, is actually create content for Hatch that leverages the cloud, that leverages multiplayer, that leverages social features to do things that really have never been done in an industry that's super, in our opinion, kind of constrained and a bit stale and static. Like, innovation in mobile really hasn't happened in quite a while. There's a lot of kind of new IP that is sort of layered on top of tried and true game mechanics, but like true innovation, like something disruptive or something completely new on the mobile platform, really, I mean, I can't think of the last thing I've seen that really was innovative when it came to mobile games.
Right.
And Hatch is that thing. Hatch is that next evolution in the mobile experience when it comes to games.
Okay. So we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I just kind of wanted to clarify it. In the Hatch kind of model, it's going to be subscription-based and ad-based, kind of like a Hulu type thing, where they initially started with some in-game ads, or in their case, program ads, and then eventually you could opt into a subscription, or how's that all going to work?
Yeah, that's right. So Hatch will be free to download, free to try. You just go to the app stores and download it and install it, and we will monetize that product with ads. And so, so that's right. So it's like Hulu in that sense. Then we have a premium edition where you can pay a monthly fee. We remove the ads, and then we give you a whole bunch of other benefits, such as original content or early access to content, customized look and feel. We have Hatch Kids, which is a kids variant of the product with a COPPA compliant, completely safe kids environment, full of great content for parents to give to their children. So you can be a free user or you can be a premium user. We want to make accessibility, easy for people, so everyone can try and download and experience Hatch.
Nice. So, what's the availability now? You said are you production launched? Are you about to launch?
So we're in soft launch in the Nordic territories now. We started in Finland. This is based in Helsinki. Right. So I'm here in the U.S., but everyone else pretty much is in Helsinki. Right next door to Rovio, actually. So we started there. We moved to the Nordic territories just a couple weeks ago, so we're still in soft launch, and then we're going to move from there into Europe, and then into the U.S. and North America, and then just kind of continue to expand as we get larger and larger. Cool.
So that brings me to what are you doing for Hatch in North America? Are you like resourcing content for them? What's your role in this, I'm assuming, single man North America office that you're running?
Yeah, that's right. That's how it is. So it's mostly content sourcing. So I work with a lot of the publishers and developers to find the right games. Hatch is a curated catalog, so we're not just open to anyone. So some people come to us through word of mouth, and we look at the games and decide whether they're a fit. We want to have a balanced catalog, so content for really all kinds of gamers. So we want great casual games, but also great, kind of mid-core and hardcore content. So I seek out and find and approach developers with those games, or screen inbound interested parties. In some cases, we're working on direct deals to create new games or to modify games with publishers or developers. And then there's kind of a whole strategic plan around what the content strategy looks like. That it's also something I contribute to.
Awesome, cool. So that brings me kind of to my final question, and I'll narrow it from what I normally do. What do you see as the future of video games, and specifically, since we're really addressing the mobile side of video games, what do you see as kind of the future? Are we going to go more VR, AR? I mean, what do you see as exciting and the future?
So I think VR and AR is really interesting technology. I am still not sold on the business model. It's such a commitment to those experiences. You really have to set up a VR or AR experience. And mobile is so inherently kind of quick and casual. People want to jump in, they want to jump out. They want their Clash Royale 3-4 minute experience where you don't have to strap on a headset or set up all of your conditions for an AR experience to work. But there's no denying the tech is amazing, and so I'm really curious how that evolves. But I see that more as the longer tail, 5 to 10 year kind of roadmap. The short term, I think, I sort of hate to say it, but I'm happy to say it, which is that I think it's Hatch, or a Hatch-like model. So I think subscription is huge. I think people are, when it comes to in-app purchasing, when it comes to, just trying to curate their own content and discoverability, subscription solves a lot of those problems. You can have, these deep experiences. You don't have this pay-to-win sort of experience anymore. You can level the playing field through subscription. You can create a much deeper relationship with your users or your fans. Mm-hmm. You can curate the content so there's not just millions or hundreds of thousands of apps floating out there for people to have to sift through. Interestingly, Andrew Wilson from EA talks a lot about subscription, and mm-hmm. EA as a publisher, but they're also creating a platform through Origin. They see subscription in the same way, which is that just pay a fee and just have access to everything,
right?
And don't restrict the ability for fans to connect with the products that they love. Actually, do the opposite. Just create a flat fee and then open up the floodgates and let them just kind of go crazy. So I think subscription is going to just become more and more of a mainstream revenue model for games.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think beyond that, Carl, it's interesting trying to think about where, you look at the top grossing charts and it's basically almost the same for 5 years. I mean, it's crazy how static it is. And
the haves and have-nots and stuff.
Yeah, on one hand, that's really a testament to how good some of those games actually are. I mean, they really are fantastically built games. But on the other hand, you got to think that people are waiting for something new. How long can you play the same game for, really? It's at a certain point you want something different. And so I think the industry is really getting ready for that next evolution.
And
it hasn't evolved in 3 to 4 to 5 years, and the natural cycle of games, at least in my experience, has been like every 4 to 5 years there's a revolution. Like PC downloadable lasted like 4 to 5 years or 7 or whatever, depending on where you start. And then social games came around for like 3 to 4 years, and then mobile came around for whatever. We're in like 4 to 5 years now.
Yeah.
And so AR VR is maybe 4 to 5 years out. So
there's got to be
what's
something
in the middle,
right?
Like there's a big gap to fill where we're not just going to be playing Candy Crush for the next 5 more years, right? Like something's going to happen there because it's just it can't sustain in this sort of boring, static direction that it's going right now.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's one of the things, and one of the reasons I asked this final question is I think that the industry has gotten to that point where a change is not only necessary, but is expected. There's going to be something that really kind of changes it up. One of the things that I think changed it up that you kind of missed was kind of the casino side of things as well. Casino really took off about 3-4 years ago, so I would have thrown that one in there. And now I think we're again at a point where it's like, okay, what's the next thing in the gaming space that's really going to kind of shake the tree? The Wii controller kind of effect. What is that's really going to shake the tree? And I hope it is the subscription model, because I think there is a lot to be said about it. It's something that we've seen in cycles before with PC downloadable and Big Fish and those types of things. So yeah, I really hope it is, especially for your guys' success. I think you guys are right on that cutting edge, and if it turns that direction, you'll be in a great position to take advantage of the new trend.
Yeah, well, we hope so too, and we'll know pretty soon. I mean, we're coming to the U.S. Early next year, so keep your eyes out for Hatch. It really is an innovative platform.
Nice.
We are staged to do some things that are completely new, that we feel are very fresh, totally innovative,
mm-hmm.
And really on the cutting edge in terms of what other similar types of services are doing.
Yeah.
Kind of pulling it all together into this brand new kind of recipe of a gaming experience that we're really excited about. So
cool. All right. Well, I think that's all I had on the list to talk about today. If you got anything else you wanted to bring up, we'd love to hear from you. And when you guys do this launch in North America, please join us again and get on, and we'll help push it out as well, and anyone that wants to listen to my channel. Hopefully we'll have like 10,000 people listening by then, right?
Yeah, great. Good luck with that. Of course, I'll be at Casual Connect. I think I've been at every Casual Connect since, I don't know when, 2006 or 7 or whatever. So I'll be at Disneyland. So for you and everyone watching and listening, come learn about Hatch. I'll have a fully functional product to show you.
Excellent.
Lots of games on there that are already working. So it's definitely worth checking out, and reach out.
Awesome.
Set up a time to talk.
Well, we'll see you in January, and everybody else, make sure you come by and see Nick and us there as well. And thanks for joining us today, and have a great evening. Bye for now.
Great. Thanks, Carl. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.